The man is experiencing the dreaded Mandela effect. He clearly remembers that the letter in his daughter's animation book is E, but now it's an A. He thought he had made a mistake, but after finding his brother and asking him to confirm, he found out that he remembered the E too. If it's just one thing, it doesn't mean anything. Brandon suddenly found a picture of a family of 3 on the fridge. There was also a problem with the background on it. He remembered that the back was supposed to be a science museum, but now it's an observatory. But his wife thinks he's mentally ill. The two of them had a falling out. It turns out that just 3 months ago, their daughter had an accident on the beach. She was trying to pick up a doll. She accidentally went into the deep end. The happy family was torn apart. Brendan spends every night in regret. But a recent spate of memory lapses. Brandon's suspicions were aroused. He began to look up the events online. He soon found a video of a professor. He thought our world may be a virtual string of programming code. The so-called Mandela effect. It's all a hoax. As Brendan watched in fascination, the video suddenly flickered, as if some force was stopping him from pursuing it further. Brandon tried to use the program code to calculate the computer data, and finally came up with a horrifying truth. He suspected that the whole world was programmed in code, our memories. It's just a string of data code from 0 to 1. He recorded a video and sent it to his professor, but after a week of waiting, he didn't hear back from him. Brendan found the professor's house. Seeing how persistent he was, the professor had to reveal a shocking truth. He used computer data simulations to calculate. He discovered that the world we live in was being manipulated by a mysterious force, whether it's the forests we see in reality, or the celestial bodies we can observe in the universe. It's all a string of code in a data simulation, but Brandon believes that this is impossible to achieve, because it would require huge storage units. It was impossible with current technology, but the professor's answer was a revelation to him. Our world is like a game, as the program code is running. In order to reduce the memory-consuming data bandwidth, it only exists when objects are observed, and vice versa. It ceases to exist without observation, until it is observed again. But Brandon still had questions. What kind of computer could simulate the architecture of the entire universe? To convince Brandon once and for all, the professor took him to where he was working. There was a quantum computer. It's thousands of times faster than existing computers. The reason his video was blocked from observation, because the program had discovered that he was revealing the truth about the world. That's when an administrator came in from outside. Because Brandon didn't have access, he was kicked out of the building. And unbeknownst to Brandon, the subconscious mind is actually a product of quantum entanglement. When he begins to doubt the world, he himself will have an irreversible effect on this virtual world. He will have an irreversible effect on the virtual world. Something horrible is happening. The woman's body is flickering. She is seen walking towards the chassis of the bus. Soon she disappeared into thin air. The man was stunned by the sight, then saw the young couple next to him. The whole faces fused together. The man was so shocked that he rushed off the bus, but he had just taken 2 steps. The day suddenly turned to night. Before he could react, the night turned into day again. The whole world seemed to have gone haywire. Even the leaves on the roadside had changed in unpredictable ways. Brendan rushed home. Before he knew it, 2 moons had appeared in the sky. He had just run through the door, and then he experienced it all over again. His wife and daughter were also experiencing something unusual. Their bodies were flickering. It was as if they were about to disappear. Only Brendan was fine. As the flickering around them increased, the wife rushed to push her husband away. As she screamed in terror, her whole face suddenly turns into a pixelated square. But within seconds, it was back. It turns out that the universe we live in is all made up of a string of program code. Brandon used a quantum computer to go back to the time before his daughter's accident. Using a quantum computer, he tampered with the mainframe's original program code. The entire universe was collapsing. With an explosion, the 2 moons that appeared in the sky have collided. The world is coming to an end. A family of 3 clinging to each other. As the flickering of their surroundings intensifies, the background behind them has all turned black. The mainframe program is quickly activated. The universe exploded anew. The solar system rapidly completes a new cycle of formation. Single-celled organisms began to evolve rapidly. Prehistoric dinosaurs were born. Asteroids hit the Earth once again. Everything that had ever happened on Earth, in a reboot of the original code, it's happening all over again. The Brandon family has been transported back to 3 months ago. It was as if nothing had ever happened before. It was as if the daughter had seen it.
Sam? Leave George with us.
The daughter was calling for her father, but when the man turned on the light, the daughter disappeared into thin air. The wife thought the man was missing his daughter. His brain was hallucinating, because only a short time before, they had attended his daughter's funeral. But what he didn't know was, the horror had only just begun. In the morning he saw his daughter again. His wife was still there as before. She had taken her daughter to the bathroom to wash up. The man rushed into the bathroom in fear. He opened the shower curtain inside, but his daughter had disappeared again. This nearly broke the man's spirit. And what happened next? What happened next turned his world upside down. Brendan saw saw his daughter in the living room again. He kept his head down and didn't even dare to look at her. That's when his wife walks in. He asked her if she could see. She replied in the affirmative. Not only that, his brother could also see his daughter. Their lives. It was like going back to the time before his daughter's accident. To confirm what was happening, he called his friends and family to confirm, and without exception, his daughter was still alive. It was as if his memory was the only one that was off, but only Brendan knew. His experiment had worked. It turns out that our world is a string of programming code. Everything in the world. It's all virtual data programming. Brendan used a quantum computer and reprogrammed the world's original programming and brought his daughter back to life in a virtual world. But their good times didn't last long. His wife was the first to have problems. She woke up in the middle of the night for no apparent reason. She became mentally unstable. Her moods became extremely unstable. It turned out that Brendan was tampering with the code. The whole world was about to collapse. Everything was cracking. The wife, who had been so gentle and kind, suddenly became violent. She went crazy and started wreaking havoc. Brendan had to take his wife home. But then things got worse and worse. She even tried to kill their daughter. It was all because he had tampered with the code. The world is trying to fix the anomaly in order to save his family. He rushes to the professor for help, but the other man's wife told him the professor had died 2 months ago, but he had only met the professor 3 days earlier. Brandon's face was stunned. That's when the glass in his hand also cracked. The world was mending at an accelerating rate. He rushed back home, re-editing the program to fix the code. He had to get the repair code into the quantum computer before the world collapsed. He had just entered the building when the caretaker spotted him. Brandon rushes to stop him, but he accidentally kills him. He rushes to get the administrator's pass. He enters the room with the quantum computer, planting the repair code in it. The fixes soon began to respond. Brendan quickly left the building. By this time, the world outside had changed in unexpected ways.